Just when the United States thought it could tighten its grip on the global economy, Russia and China pulled a move that could shake the very foundation of America's financial dominance. This isn't just a story about oil. This is about a quiet but powerful war on the US dollar itself, and the petrodollar system that has held the world hostage for decades. A seismic shift has begun, and if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss one of the biggest economic realignments in modern history. Before we break it all down, make sure to subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell, and like this video so you never miss what the mainstream media won't tell you. Russia and China have signed an oil deal that doesn't just impact their own countries, it threatens the heart of the US financial empire. For decades, the US dollar has been the currency the world needed to buy oil, keeping America's position as the economic king. But that era may now be ending. With this latest agreement, Russia will sell its oil to China using the Chinese yuan, not the dollar. That one decision carries more weight than 1,000 speeches. Because once oil starts flowing outside of the dollar, the global demand for the US currency drops, and fast. To understand the full gravity of what's happening, you need to first understand the petrodollar system. After World War II, America brokered a deal with Saudi Arabia and other oil-rich nations that oil must be traded in US dollars. This forced every country that needed oil, which is every country, to hold massive amounts of dollars in reserve. It created an artificial demand for the dollar, allowing the US to print money, borrow money, and spend money like no other nation on earth. It gave Washington the power to sanction enemies, fund wars, and keep control over allies. In short, the dollar became the lifeblood of global commerce, all thanks to oil. But now, that lifeblood is leaking. And Russia and China are widening the wound. This isn't a one-time deal between two countries. This is the latest, and most dangerous, strike in a long campaign by BRICS nations to dethrone the dollar. BRICS, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have been slowly but surely building a parallel economic system to bypass Western control. With the addition of new nations like Iran, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates, BRICS has grown stronger. And this oil deal between Russia and China shows they're no longer just talking. They're acting. And here's the kicker, this move doesn't just benefit Russia and China. Other countries are watching. Saudi Arabia, America's longtime oil ally, has expressed interest in trading oil in other currencies. The UAE has signed agreements using Chinese yuan. Iran, already under US sanctions, is more than happy to deal in anything but the dollar. The dominoes are lined up. And Russia and China may have just pushed the first one. So why now? Why are these countries finally bold enough to challenge the dollar after all these years? Because the West gave them the reason. When the US and its allies froze hundreds of billions of Russia's foreign reserves in response to the Ukraine invasion, it sent a message to every country in the world, your money is not safe if you challenge US interests. That was a turning point. It exposed the risk of keeping reserves in dollars or euros. If your country steps out of line, Washington can hit a button and erase your savings. For nations like China, Iran, and others on America's bad side, that's an unacceptable risk. And so, they began to diversify. Gold purchases surged. Yuan swaps increased. And now, we have oil deals that completely bypass the dollar. But let's not forget the US isn't sitting quietly. Washington knows exactly what's at stake. The Federal Reserve, Treasury, and State Department are watching closely. Sanctions, diplomatic pressure, and even covert actions could follow. But the damage may already be done. Trust in the US-led financial system has been shaken, maybe permanently. And this trust is more fragile than most realize. The US economy runs on debt. Trillions of dollars are borrowed every year to fund everything from military operations to social programs. That debt is manageable only because other countries buy US Treasury bonds, and they do that because they need dollars for oil. If the need for dollars falls, so does the demand for treasuries. And that means higher interest rates, more inflation, and eventually, financial chaos. This is why the petrodollar is not just a currency issue, it's a national security issue. Imagine a world where oil is bought in rubles, yuan, rupees, and even gold, not dollars. Suddenly, America's ability to print money without consequence evaporates. Inflation spikes. The cost of imports rises. Interest rates climb. And the US, once the center of global finance, becomes just another country struggling to pay its debts. This isn't science fiction. It's economic reality, and it's closer than you think. Let's take a step back and look at how fast things have changed. Just 5 years ago, no one dared to openly challenge the dollar. Even China played nice, keeping its reserves heavily in dollars. Today, deals are being signed almost monthly that ditch the greenback. BRICS is creating its own financial infrastructure. And digital currencies, especially China's, are becoming legitimate competitors to the dollar. In Africa, Latin America, and parts of Asia, nations are exploring currency swaps, barter systems, and BRICS-based trade. These aren't poor, irrelevant countries. These are fast-growing markets with natural resources and rising populations. They see the writing on the wall. The dollar is no longer sacred. And Washington is no longer the only game in town. In the middle of all this, U.S. lawmakers seem asleep at the wheel. Political gridlock, endless investigations, culture wars, they distract from the real threat. The foundation is cracking. But instead of reinforcing it, America is arguing about furniture placement. That's the tragic irony. The country that built the modern financial system is letting it slip through its fingers, not with a bang, but with a shrug. Meanwhile, China and Russia continue building alliances. Their energy partnership isn't just about oil. It's about gas pipelines, nuclear cooperation, and technology sharing. Every agreement tightens their bond and weakens Western influence. And while the West tries to isolate Russia, China pulls it closer. It's a geopolitical dance, and Washington is dancing alone. Some might say the US can still rely on military might to enforce its dominance. But wars are expensive. And without dollar dominance, they're harder to fund. Sanctions lose bite when alternatives exist. And influence fades when trust disappears. That's the reality Washington is facing. Power is shifting. And it's shifting fast. This new oil deal isn't just about barrels and pipelines. It's a declaration of independence. From dollar tyranny. From Western hypocrisy. From economic manipulation. It's a message to the world, there is another way. And make no mistake, the ripple effects will be massive. If other countries follow Russia and China's lead, the dollar could face a long, painful decline. US borrowing costs could spike. Economic inequality could worsen. And the era of American economic supremacy could come to a quiet, but undeniable end. But for those paying attention, this is not a time to panic. It's a time to prepare. Understand the shifts. Diversify your knowledge. Question the narratives. Because in a world where the dollar no longer rules, you'll want to be ahead of the curve, not crushed beneath it. If this video opened your eyes, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and tap the bell so you never miss what's coming next. The mainstream won't talk about it, but we will, right here. Stay sharp. Stay informed. And stay ready.